Hi. I feel like I was going through puberty for a second there. I'm not. I don't think so. I hope not. Anyway, my name is Jack Wallen. And today I want to talk to you about something pretty important to me and maybe to you. First off, I want to say, hi Linux distribution developers. I see you, I hear you, and I love you. I love all of the work you put into your distribution because those distributions are important. Now, I'm going to ask you a question. Now, don't take offense to this question because I mean absolutely no offense by it. But I think this is a question you really need to ponder. Oh my gosh, didn't think that was going to happen. That is something attached to my reef aquarium that administers minerals. Anyway, it is a doser, that's what it's called. It makes a loud noise. It's fun when I'm sleeping. It's a party. Anyway, this question is something that you really do need to ask yourself because it could, I believe, make or break your distribution. And I ask this question because I've been covering Linux and open source since 1999. That's a long time. I've seen a lot of things come and go. I've seen trends happen and fade away. I've seen distributions succeed and then fail. I've seen distributions succeed and keep succeeding and keep succeeding, and sometimes I'm like, how? Now, I don't mean that maliciously, not at all. Here's what I want to ask you. Who are you developing for? Did you ask yourself that question? Are you pondering it? It's an important one. Let me tell you why I asked this question. I review a lot of Linux distributions. And a lot of the Linux distributions that I review that I believe are perfectly suited for the average user don't get marketed that way. Or they don't get presented that way. Let me give you an example. So when a consumer buys a computer, either a PC or a Mac, they set it up, they log in for the first time, what do they see? They see the desktop. What does that desktop look like? I'm not talking about the layout. I'm not talking about the panel or the top menu or the desktop menu or whatever. I'm talking about the theme. When was the last time you logged into a Windows or a Mac OS computer and saw a dark theme? Oh, wait. Never. Never. You have never, ever purchased a PC or a Mac and logged in for the first time and were presented with a dark theme. Never. Never, ever. No consumer on this planet has logged in to their computer for the first time and have been greeted by a dark theme. Ever. And yet, so many Linux distributions default to a dark theme. Why? Why is that? Oh, why am I asking that question? Because a lot of Linux developers develop for developers. Because if you were developing for end users, you wouldn't default to a dark theme. You would default to a light theme, knowing that developers or Linux experienced users could pretty quickly change the theme, and most likely would. The very first thing I do when I install a new Linux distribution for testing is I go to the settings in appearance and I change the setting to a light theme. Because if I were to present that dark theme in a review and someone who's never used Linux before sees that picture, they're probably going to be turned off by it because they don't know what that is. They don't know why is this so dark? I won't be able to see that. Why? You cannot have a new Linux user asking those sorts of questions. And that's the big thing here. We need more Linux distribution developers developing for end users, especially users who've never touched Linux. We are at an inflection point here. We're at a period where there could be a lot more Linux users coming on board, coming into the community. And we're not going to attract them if we don't appeal to what they know. That's one of the reasons why the majority of time when I suggest a Linux distribution for someone who's never used Linux, I'm either suggesting elementary OS or a distribution that uses KDE Plasma. Why? Because they look familiar. They look like they could be Windows or Mac OS. Now, if we're talking KDE Plasma, I'm certainly going to look for a distribution that defaults to a light theme, because that adds to the familiarity of the distribution for the new user. The other thing is, when you market or when you present your distribution, either be it on your website or in social media or whatever, if you're marketing to new users, why even talk about tool chains? New users have no idea what a tool chain is, and they don't care. They don't know, they don't care. What you need to be talking about are the things that would truly attract new users. What Office suite does it come with? That's a big one. What web browser does it come with? That's a big one. In fact, those are the two primary things you need to think about, because those are the two tools that most people use. And if you're shipping with Flatpak, go ahead and install Spotify and Slack so the end user doesn't have to do it, because most people, well, not most people, but a very large amount of people use Spotify, and a lot of people use Slack. Think about the tools and the look and feel that would appeal to someone who has never touched Linux, and develop for them. And if you do that, Linux as a whole has a better chance of attracting new users. And that's what we need. My aquarium's hungry for minerals. We need more new users. If you're developing for developers, how's that going to expand the user base? It's not. It's not. Now, that's not to say that there can't be distributions that are geared specifically for developers, and there should be. And for those, talk about the tool chains. Default to a dark theme. Add an IDE. Whatever you need, whatever developers need. And since you are a developer, you know exactly the tools that developers need. So just have at it. But for an end user, for a consumer, they don't need those things. Just think about them. And if your distribution is specifically for end users, which most of them are, develop for those users. Now, having said all of that, I will reiterate, I see you, I hear you, and I love you, Linux developers, Linux distribution developers, or open source developers, because I know the work you put into this. I know it's hard, and I know it's a project of passion, and thank goodness that you're doing that, because the world needs more Linux, not less, more and more and more and more. Thank you very much. Thank you for listening to me blather on. And by the way, I'm going to put this in the description, but if you think that these videos are worth it, buy me a coffee. Maybe I'm worth it, maybe I'm not. I don't know. It's up to you. But anyway, I hope that you and everyone you know and love have a wonderful, wonderful day.